This is WVVA in Focus, a weekly program about events in the two Virginias.
Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's In Focus. I'm Erica Greenway, and thanks so much for joining us. Well, with their new doctoral and executive leadership program over at Mountain State University, they have the first doctoral program to ever be offered here in Southern West Virginia. So we're going to be talking about that program with their Associate Dean, Dr. Wayne Wormley. While he's here this morning, he's going to be providing some insight as well into diversity in the workplace. So he's here this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And like we said, it's a new program that started up at Mountain State University. I think just last fall it launched, right?
Well, that was when we admitted the first cohort. It actually had been in the planning stages for about 4 or 5 years, and there was a great deal of thought that went into the thinking. You know, Dr. Polk is very well known for leadership, and Dean Bill White, they've published a couple of books on leadership, and Dean White was really instrumental in creating this doctoral program. He went to some of the work done by the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching, and they had looked at what should a doctorate look like for the future of the 21st century. And so based on their research and some research that we did, we designed this doctoral program. It's a professional doctorate, and the goal is to create scholar practitioners in the discipline of leadership. So what's different about us is it is looking to balance the scholarship and the practitioner side, but also it's focused on leadership. So it's not ed leadership, it's not leadership from business, it is leadership. So from whatever discipline you're in or whatever your interest, law enforcement, healthcare, then this would be the kind of program that might interest you.
And you guys have had a number of leadership programs over at MSU, right? Starting with undergrad?
Right, we have the Organizational Leadership Program, and we have the Master of Science in Strategic Leadership. And those programs have been very successful and really gave us the foundation we needed so that when we went to the Higher Learning Commission of North Central, they could see that we had a track record, we had a basis for justifying this kind of natural evolution. Because executive leadership, basically you go from leadership at more of a group level, department, strategic leadership more at an organizational, but then once you're at the top, what do executives look like in terms of vision and strategy and those kinds of issues?
So is there quite a difference between the three different programs?
Well, they have a natural connection and relationship to each other. But you really do focus on very different kinds of issues. And if you think about it, if you're in an organization at more of an individual level, the question is, how can I serve as a leader within that environment? You know, how do I influence people? How do I communicate and so forth? And then once you get to a certain level of experience, then the broader questions are, okay, what does leadership look like at a slightly higher level, let's say a department or a division, let's say maybe at a station like WVVA, and then you get to that executive level, the person who is actually saying what makes sense strategically in terms of this station, this organization relative to the external environment, our competition, the kinds of collaborations we might want to have with external communities. So it's really one of perspective. So if you can think of it as they're related but very different points of view from where you are.
So do people need to have those backgrounds maybe in the bachelor's and master's to go on for the doctoral, or do people come from all different backgrounds?
All different backgrounds. In fact, our primary requirement is you have to have a master's or first professional degree from a regionally accredited institution. That might be a master's in nursing, it might be one of our masters in leadership, it could be an MBA, it could be a JD, it could be a degree in law enforcement, but again, master's level, first professional, masters of social work, and then you have an interview, you have the application letters of recommendation, excuse me, and the other thing we ask people to do, they do a discussion paper, and they have to help us understand how does executive leadership make sense in terms of your long-term career plans and growth. And so we do require people to have 5 years or more of experience in some leadership role. So for someone who really has not had that experience, we just think the learning is going to be more challenging because they won't have anything to compare it to. So I think that's the main thing, that they really do have to have substantive experience and good academic ground, and we prefer people to have some research, excuse me, or some other kind of academic scholarly orientation, because you do write a dissertation at the end of this process.
Okay, so they need a master's and the 5 years of experience. Are there any other requirements that they need to have before they enter into this doctoral program?
Well, again, they have to have 2 references. All the transcripts have to be submitted, and of course we look at that. And they come for an interview, either in person or via telephone or online. We think it's very important to see how people communicate, how people carry themselves. We do look at how they write and how they speak. So those are the primary kinds of requirements and criteria.
So it's been going on for about a year now.
Right.
You guys had the first students in October, I think, of 2009.
Yep.
So how's the program been going so far?
So far, actually, we've been very pleased. I arrived in January as the Associate Dean specifically for DEL. And out of the first 2 cohorts, about 32 of those students are still enrolled, going through the program. And we have another 10 coming in this summer. What's interesting is we designed the program as a cohort, so they all move through together. And we have built in a mentoring relationship right from the beginning. In fact, when the new cohort starts in June, Friday this week, they will be assigned to a mentor, and the mentor is generally one of the faculty members, but it may be a working professional who has their particular area or field, as their basis. And we have learned through our research and study that one reason people are not successful, especially in doctoral programs, is they don't get the support. So providing that mentor support, as well as the community, the intellectual community that they become a part of going through the cohort, we think that will increase their chance of being successful. And so far, we think that has been going very well.
Very good. Well, there's still a lot more to talk about with the doctoral program, but we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.